guys. So today I'll be reading you British fairy tales. A scary dragon from Singlestone Rock. Once upon a time, there lived a king, a queen, and their children, Margaret and Richard. The queen died shortly after the children were born, and within a year the king married again. When Richard grew up, he left the kingdom. The new queen was very wicked. One day, after her knights exclaimed with admiration, "There is no one in the world more beautiful than the young princess," the queen turned green with envy and muttered quietly, "Soon her beauty will disappear." The same night, the evil queen put a spell on the princess while she was sleeping. Lady Margaret awoke to find she was no longer a beautiful girl, but a scary dragon. The beast settled near Spindlestone Rock. Her roar frightened and horrified all the people of the kingdom. When the news about the girl's unhappy fate reached her brother, he decided to build a ship and without any further delay head home. The queen heard about Richard's return and, using the power of witchcraft, she made the dragon guard the harbor. As soon as the ship appeared in the distance, the dragon threw herself into the sea, twisted herself around the ship, and launched it far away from the shore. 3 times the beast drove off the ship, but the prince continued to sail in the dragon's direction. Finally, the ship managed to moor. The moment the prince stepped on the ground, the evil queen's power over the dragon came to an end. Lady Margaret again became a beautiful girl, and the queen turned into an ugly toad. The Baker's Daughter. There were times when fairies liked to reward people for their kind deeds and punish them for their bad ones. One day, a fairy disguised herself as a poor lady and knocked on a baker's door. The door was opened, and the fairy went in. The baker's daughter was scurrying about near the oven. There was a pile of freshly baked buns on the table. The fairy said with a trembling voice, "Please, give some bread to a poor lady." Without saying a kind word, the girl tore off a piece of dough and threw it on the floor as if throwing it to a dog. "But I have no fire in my house to bake it," the old lady said. "Allow me to put it in the oven with your bread." When the girl took the bread out of the oven, she saw that the poor lady's dough had turned into the biggest and the best piece of all. The old lady stretched out her hand, but the girl pushed it rudely away and shouted, "Go away, dirty beggar! It's not your bread!" Instead of bread, she threw another piece of dough to her unexpected house guest. Again, it became the most beautiful piece of bread. The baker's daughter didn't notice that the poor lady had turned into a fairy. Without looking, the girl started to shout again, "Go!" but she didn't manage to finish the sentence, as the fairy quickly turned her into an owl and she flew out of the window. This is how the baker's daughter was punished for her heartlessness. The Source at the World's End. Once there lived a girl named Mary. Her mother had died and her father had married again. Her stepmother didn't like poor Mary because she was jealous of her beauty, and so she decided to get rid of the girl. She gave her a sieve and ordered her to fill it with water from the source at the world's end. The girl searched for the unknown source for a long time. Finally, she found it, but she didn't know how to fill the sieve with water, so she sat down and cried. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a frog appeared in front of Mary and started to speak. Promise to perform my orders for the whole night, and I will teach you how to fill the sieve with water. The girl agreed. Taking the frog's advice, she covered the sieve with moss, coated it with clay, filled it with water, and came back home. Her stepmother was furious. In the evening, the frog knocked on the door, and Mary let it inside. The frog said to the girl, "Put me on your knees, and then feed me and put me to bed by your side." When morning came, Mary saw a beautiful prince instead of the frog by her side. A long time ago, an evil wizard had bewitched him, but the patience and obedience of the girl had broken the spells. The prince took Mary to a wonderful castle. They got married and lived happily ever after. 3 wishes. One day, a woodcutter was cutting down trees in the forest. He prepared to chop down an old oak tree. The woodcutter took out his axe and raised it. Suddenly, a fairy appeared. She begged the woodcutter to leave the old oak alone and not chop it down. The woodcutter was surprised and said, "Well, fine. I won't cut it down if you say so. To show my gratitude, I'll grant you 3 wishes," the fairy said, and then suddenly disappeared. The woodcutter went home. While the woodcutter was waiting for his dinner, he became hungry and said to himself, "I wish I could have a sausage now." Suddenly, the largest, juiciest sausage he had ever seen fell into the fireplace. His wife was very surprised, but when she heard about the fairy's promise, she became angry with her husband and shouted, "Let the sausage grow on your nose, you stupid!" Before one could blink an eye, the sausage jumped out of the fireplace and stuck to the woodcutter's nose. The woodcutter had only 1 wish left, and so he wished the sausage away from his nose. To his and his wife's misfortune, they could no longer wish for gold or silver. However, they did have a tasty sausage for dinner. The end. I hope you liked the story. Bye!